I grew up in a very, very, remote area of the country. It's called Mindanao. Yeah, my parents are public school teachers. They volunteered, when they graduated in college. And my parents are so committed to that, educating the tribes, the indigenous peoples of the Philippines. So instead of living in the cities, we lived in the barrios. And it's, for a young man, for young people like us, it's terrible, We don't have electricity, there are no roads, you're living in the middle of the forest, living with the tribes. But there's that, paradise for us every weekend. My father will bring us to this town, 2 3 hours away from our place, and there are 4 cinemas there, and they're double bills, so 8 movies every weekend. Hong Kong kung fu movies, spaghetti westerns, Japanese samurai movies, the gamut I've seen before. So looking back now, it was really my film school, because we don't have film schools in the country. Watching cinema is at your film school. Yeah, that's how I started with cinema. Yeah. The thing with, concentrating, sometimes I'm alone with the sound, just with the sound, and you make it lean and mean, because a lot of people who do cinema, they tend to overdo it. There's a lot of technical people, camera department alone, you have 25 to 75 people. It's like, what is this? They create a lot of troubles. If you concentrate on if you just focus on the aesthetic of doing cinema, then it's better. Focus on the story, focus on the character, focus on creating some geographic template, looking for the places where you can appropriate the story. It's better that way. Creating some sets and constructing so many things that you don't need. At the end of the day, you'll just be spending a lot of money and there's nothing. I'm more into that, trying to find, the more realistic templates for the film. The geographic template will create that, aesthetic template, a better understanding of the milieu of the character. And if you're there's a few of you, you can focus more on the better part of, doing cinema, which is the aesthetic domain. So it's better that way. The freedom, I feel very, I'm gonna use the word emancipated by the, the freedom that digital gives the filmmaker, from the economic side of it up to the thing that you can do. It's unlimited. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna do celluloid anymore. If there is money, yes, but if there's no money, then you have to appropriate your condition, you have to adjust to that. So digital will give you that. The digital revolution is about that, It emancipated the filmmaker. Now we own the tool, now we own the guitar, now we own our brush. What more can you ask for? You can hold it like, nobody's imposing on you, I think that's more important than having big budgets and then people are, these executives are imposing on where the story will go, how long will the film be, and where will they show the film. That's bullshit, Digital, just, turn everything into something, it just freed us, It liberated the filmmaker. Yeah. If you want to go to the discourse of, liberation, then digital is liberation. For the first question, yes and no. Yeah, slow cinema, of course, it's slow, because we're so used to the fast cars. Yes, it's slow because the orientation is that that cinema's duration can only be 2 hours or 1.5, and you have to condense it. You have to abridge the whole thing into that. But duration in cinema mustn't be imposed if you consider cinema as art. Art is free, man. Why confine it to a 2 hour thing or a 1.5 hour thing which is imposed by the market? This is an imposition by the so-called industry. The very word industry alone is very compromising. Is cinema an industry? Yes and no. Cinema can be culture. Cinema is art. It's not just the profit motive, man. So we will have to again reevaluate our way of seeing cinema as some form of a cultural activity other than just an entertainment activity, which is culture also, but it's marks of a lot of compromises. There's the market, there's this whole gamut of profit making. So in my case, I don't make cinema for the market, so I'm okay, I'm free. That makes it more open. I make cinema for cinema. I make cinema for culture, so I'm okay. If they label it as slow cinema, as a reference to the way cinema, as we know it, then it's okay. But it's not slow cinema. It's a liberated kind of cinema. We're just emancipating cinema. So we're trying to emancipate it in a way that any filmmaker that will come now can just be free. Don't be confined with a 2 hour thing. If you want to make money, then go for it. If you want to help culture, if you want to help humanity grow, then be free, man. Liberate cinema the way you want it. I love the genres. The musical, the film noir. So I'm making a musical now. I'm finishing it. So the next film is a film noir. So the genres can be good paradigms for making cinema. You can always use them. I love the horror genre. I can make a horror film one day. But the duration, no. It's not gonna be 2 hours. It can be just 5 minutes, it's okay. Or 40 hours, it's okay. There's no short cinema or long cinema. It's just fucking cinema, man. Yeah. I hate that labeling of short film and long film. No, it's just cinema. Do you label a small frame in painting as a small painting? It's not. It's painting. It's art. You have this very, very small watercolor by Monet and Guernica by Picasso, which is so huge, but they're the same. It's painting. It's not a short film and a big film. It's painting. You cannot classify it as a short painting just because it's this small. It's painting. It's a whole universe. I create the characters, I create the dialogues. I'm very strict with those things. Character and dialogue. The freedom, I'm also very, open with the kind of freedom that I give them. Especially with the kind of methodology that I do, just one frame. So, yeah, there's a lot of freedom, but also on the part of the actors, there's gonna be a lot of commitment and, dedication. To the truth, because with the one frame, it's hard to fake it. It's hard to fake it, because that's why every time we do a scene, there may not be a lot of rehearsals, but it must be important. It's important for them to understand that they must be very honest with how they do it. So I always show them the frame. I ask them to come. This is the frame. You sit here, you move here, and maybe after counting like 100, start talking, and then before you leave the frame, you throw something in the water. So it's very instructional, but very specific. Even the entry, I tell them, you enter after 25 counts. And they will ask, why 25 counts? Just count 25 before you enter, because I need that. And once they do it, they'll make a sense of, yeah, you're right. It's better to come in, with 25 counts than just coming in without any plans or what. So that 25 counts before they enter, it's important. The space and the time that it creates. You see the little nuance. The ant, moving in the leaf. The flowing of the water. It's important. Now you realize that that universe, it's not subordinated to the action of the protagonist. It's a whole universe. So you, in the frame, in the canvas, now you see not just the actor, you see the tree, you see the stone, you notice the wind, you smell the rotting, trunk of the tree, and it becomes this whole universe. You feel it. And I'm trying to do that in my cinema, trying to catch this whole universe. My cinema is not subordinated to the movement of Tom Cruise. Because a lot of cinema, as we know it, is, subordinated to that. We just follow the action of the lead character and that's it. In my cinema, it's a big canvas. I'm trying to do that. Nature is a big actor in my cinema. Nature is such a big actor in my cinema. You cannot escape it, Everything that has to do with the Filipino struggle, we always have a reference to the past. You move it to the issue of post-colonial discourse. Everything that what we do now is part of that. It's all about coming to terms with the past, coming to terms with what happened before. Even if you're doing something like, following the movement of a cart owner in the streets and he's selling his wares, if you're discerning, you will be questioning, why is he living in the streets? There's some history here. So you cannot escape it. There's no escaping the past, there's no escaping colonialism, there's no escaping the very, very recent past, like yesterday. Why is he crying today? What happened yesterday or just a moment before? So cinema has that attribute. It depends on the viewer, the experience of the viewer, or how you embrace the image. But it's always that, because it's pretty much a magnification of what's, we can call it an alternative universe. We're creating some alternative stories about us, people, but at the same time, if you watch it, you think about that. What created him? What was his nature? So you can't escape that. Even if there's no, deliberate, discourse on the past, you cannot escape it. For me, that's my view. You cannot escape the past. Even if you're talking about a yuppie working in this big corporation, once you see his whole movement, the way he lives, then you will question, where did he come from? Is he, interested with that girl? And why is he interested with the very particular look of the woman? So you see all these histories, after a while. You cannot escape it. Yeah. My films are, written like novels. The structuring is very novelistic. The scope, I don't rush things, so you see a lot of spaces, you see a lot of the nuances that you don't see in the rush of the fast cuts of cinema as we know it. And there's a lot of writing. I write scripts, and during the shoot, I keep revising and revising. The writing, the dialogue and the scenes, they're very important in my works. I started as a writer, as a journalist, and a short story writer. I write a lot of poems, and I'm very much influenced by Russian literature. I was so the big works of Tolstoy, Dostoevsky. So again, I cannot escape the part of the process, the writing, and it's important because you create real characters that way. You can see, you can read them, you can actually see through them. In the process of the writing alone, you're so involved, especially with trying to understand them, their nature. If this guy is evil, why is he evil? And then you don't judge him, you just write about him. Rodrigo is pure evil, then he's gonna be evil. You don't judge him, he will not do this, his mother will not like it. No, just focus on the character. And this guy is very sentimental, and make him sentimental. Open it, you don't have to close it. Just because you don't like sentimentality and then you resent him, no. Be the character, follow him. If a thread is opening, then follow it, don't close it. I'm very fluid with that. That's why you see that, I don't storyboard, I don't make a specific outline for the film when I start. Even if there's a script, I'm just revising during the shoot. If you read the first script of Norde, it was written by a friend, it's 99% different when you see the whole film. Because I'm writing the script every night based on that story, and it changed a lot. Even in the middle of the shoot, we were like hiring actors because I'm creating other actors during the shoot. Like Kwak Kwak came during the middle of the shoot. I said, I need this guy. So the process of creation keeps going, so I don't want to stop it. The same with the woman who left. Around 2 a.m. in the morning, I wake up and start writing, and in the morning I give him the script. It's very fluid. Yeah, the process is very open. There's a lot of writing, actually. There's a lot of writing. It's very literary at some point. There's a lot of referencing to the novel form, the short story poem, or poetry at some point. So that's the process. Those attributes of cinema can work in so many ways. Some people will easily embrace melodrama or do recente. Immersion is very inherent in cinema. Once you're into this very collective, or a very tribal, exercise of just being in the dark and watching this alternative universe, it's very immersive. Especially if you just lose yourself with a story, or following some characters there, or following some some feeling, this very abstract emotion. You can have various way of immersing in cinema. It can be very in a very, very emotional way, or just feeling some movement, or just trying to get that nuance of a little sound that you see in the leaves, or some people moving there, not even the main character. You just see some people passing in his background, and great some it jars you, and then it stays with you, and it creates a different perspective of that cinema. I remember Abbas Kiarostami telling us that once he feels something in a scene, he would want to embrace it forever, and he will not finish the film. He will go out. He will just embrace that moment, and when he sees some birds flying around the trees, and then he feels that it's the most important part of the image, then he will just go out, and then that's it. The same with Godard. He will just read some pages, and then if he sees something in the lines, and then he will stop. He will just throw the book. He will not finish it because that line is very important for him. He didn't want to lose it. That's how you embrace this so-called, the soul of aesthetic. If it hits you, then it stays with you forever. It will change you. Sometimes, the transcendence is so complete that it will change the whole gamut of perspective that you have. So that cinema, that kind of cinema, is sometimes very fragmented, but it's true to a lot of people. When I saw Mirror the first time, that's when I realized that I found real cinema. So for me, it's like, oh, now I have this complete faith in cinema. that it can actually change people. There's a lot of people, they resent that idea that really art can change people, art can change the world. They have that kind of resentment. I remember Moshe Magova, we were together in Russia, and he was confronted with this question. One of this very, he was really confronted by this guy. Because we were talking about how we can propagate change through the arts, cinema specifically, because we're filmmakers. And this guy started telling him, "You really believe that cinema can change the world?" And Mohsen just calmly told him, "It has changed the world already. Why you still have to question it?" That ended it. Cinema has changed the world already. Why do you still have to question it, man? That's it. It's a very good answer. It's such a great answer that it stopped the guy in his tracks. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. You just walk every day. There's especially the issue of inspiration. You just come and you walk and then you see this. Oh no! Even the smell sometimes it ignites some inspiration, and you go back to this past, and then this is the story of this family. You don't know it will just hit you. That's always happening to me. So I always take note of that when I'm walking or just waking up, and then I remember something. And that's a good story. So there's a lot of stories actually. It never ends. Time is so short. That's the only problem. I want to do more cinema, but actually I want to be shooting every day, but you cannot do it that way. You have to prepare. You have to. There's a lot. You have to write. You have to deal with actors. You have to find the locations. Even while you're editing, a story comes and you want to leave the editing and shoot another film. So it's always this long process of and you just have to discipline yourself. Okay, I'll finish this first and then go to that story. There's so many stories here. Never ends. You grapple with those things, especially in the aesthetic domain, or creating these works on culture. There are two things, ethical issues. You grapple with issues of exploitation, from dealing with the actors to dealing with a certain issue. So there's always that problem. So you have to be very careful, ethically and all those things. There's a specific story about the political condition. You always, it's always that. You have to be very careful that it will not amount to some propaganda. If you slide to that, then you just destroy your art. You just have to be very, very careful, and ethically also. Are you exploiting people? Are you exploiting this community? Are you exploiting, the workers? There's a lot to grapple with, this whole ethical domain. You have to be disciplined on these issues. You don't go overboard. You don't step on toes of people. And there must be a lot of understanding about, these conditions. Understanding about, using, cinema as a tool to discourse on these things. In doing art, it's important. The issue of aesthetic is very, it's a complicated discourse. What is beauty? From the very, very, issue of the image to spirituality, not religion, the spirituality of the image is that, you see beyond the image. The spirituality of words, the beauty of words is you hear beyond the words. So it's there's this big space between what you see and what you will not see, but it's there. The issue of aesthetics. So you see a lot of that in Hollywood. They have this beautiful lighting, beautiful, but it's a beauty that is so plastic. It doesn't go beyond the image that you see. Again, sometimes it's so fast, you lose it immediately. You don't have time to really look at it and dig more beyond the image. For me, greater cinema is that, you see beyond the image, you hear beyond the words. That's great cinema. You dig more on the universe that you're saying. So aesthetics is that you look for the soul of that cinema, and if you find it, that's great cinema. If you feel it, that's great cinema. You as the viewer or you as the interactor must seek that, seeking cinema or just looking at these images. You seek the soul. It's a struggle. It's just not, it's not immediate. You have to do it often. You have to do it always. It's like being fanatic to watching cinema. At some point, you would feel it. It happened to me with The Mirror. It started with that. With words, I started feeling that when I started, digging the novels. Poems by Rainer Maria Rilke. I started reading them, and you see beyond the words. You hear beyond the words, and it will flow. There is that very feudal setup where you continue dumbing the audience that way, continue making these dumb movies so that the money will come, and they underestimate the intelligence of the audience. That, hey, they couldn't comprehend, deep works. Why give them that? Let's give them popcorn and coke, and we will maintain that for bank accounts. That's exploitation. This is like blatant and outright, and it's a crime. It's poison to culture. Entertainment is good, but don't exploit people's perspectives. That it's an overloaded poison to culture, and it's connected to politics. Why is Trump the president now? It's because of that. Dumbing down the audience to some cultural lowness. The same thing in the country. Why do we have Duterte as president? It's connected with culture. People are so exploited and they couldn't discern what's good for them. They become so twisted with their perspectives, and they easily embrace demagogues. They easily embrace false messiahs, false prophets. People who would give them so-called certainty in life, when in fact they're being exploited and used. Culture must play a good part in that, the way we see life, and cinema must play a big part also. Like art must be a form of engagement also. We have to sustain doing good art so that we can engage them with integrity and with full aesthetic force. If we stop doing good cinema, good music, good dance, good coffee, then we destroy our lives. Aesthetic is that way. Aesthetic will work that way. But if you keep them feeding with a lot of fat and cholesterol and bad cinema and bad music, then we will have Trump forever, we will have Putin forever, we will have Duterte forever. Brexit will happen. It's a continuum. Everything that we do is connected, and the arts will have a big role in that. So you have to elevate art also to that. That's why I still have faith in cinema. I have to sustain my cinema because it's my small part in engaging life. I think I'm in my own small way, I'm contributing to that. A very integral part of my doing art is engagement. I still have faith in cinema that it can change people. So I want to contribute to humanity's perfection, even if it's nirvana. We have to push it, man. Yeah, I think people are doing things to engage the present condition in the country. It's the best way we can. For me, I'll do it. I like cinema, it will at least help people realize that we made a mistake. We don't deserve these kinds of governments, these kinds of, the coming back of this vicious cycle. We keep repeating history in a very, very bad way. it's an abyss, you know. It's hard to just get out of this quagmire once they're ensconced in this very, very forceful setup. It's hard to fight them, but the best way, like I told you, is you keep engaging them with, you know, good cholesterol, which is art, good art. Yeah, we engage them with integrity. You know, we should show respect to our art, and then it can destroy the bad parts of, you know, existence. All this bad cholesterol will go one day. We just keep engaging them with good culture. There will be good upheavals in a way because of this. Now they're naked. We see them very clear. We see the enemy very clearly. You know, so we can engage them. Dystonia is a condition of the mind. I have that kind of sickness. Dystonia, where when one part of your brain stops communicating with your arm, and then your arm stops moving. Yeah, I have that. I was paralyzed twice when I was young. Now my second daughter has paralysis with her left foot. We didn't know what it was then. When I was a kid, for a lack of explanation, the doctor said it's a form of polio. So my mother and father believed that. We didn't know that it was dystonia. So when my daughter got afflicted with it like 7 years ago, suddenly there's paralysis in her left foot, and she was studied by Columbia University, and they said, are your parents or your ancestors from this island in the Philippines, Panay Island? My daughter said yes. So this is dystonia. In Southeast Asia, dystonia is only in that island. So we're from that island. It's a very, very unique kind of paralysis. So I'm using that, yeah, as a takeoff for this story about how paralysis can destroy a community, how paralysis can destroy a whole nation, how paralysis can destroy the world. So that's dystonia. It's a strange word, dystonia. I'm afflicted with that. I was paralyzed at the age of 4, and then I was paralyzed again at the age of 8, and it's a mysterious thing. And it can come back again, they say. Yeah. And it hit my daughter, so I'm still finishing it. It's been 4 years, 5 years. Yeah, I shot some parts of it already, and then we stopped shooting because the lead actor was, he became a junkie. He was put in a rehab. Now he's okay. So maybe we can shoot again.